Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. And halfway through, we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. And we've spun it off and we're up to 95. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out with Zach and I holding coffees. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Will you be doing a review of the 2025 Chevrolet Equinox anytime soon? We hope so. We're just waiting for it to arrive in the Vancouver press fleet, and then we will review it right away.
Got an email, Andrea, incoming. There's the Equinox EV, the Blazer EV, the Silverado EV. They're not here right now, but they are on their way. And there was one other one that I found a little interesting. Oh, the Chevy Traverse is going to be back too.
Right.
So if we ever wanted to do that one again.
To do that. Yeah, just waiting. It's just a bit of a waiting game. Looking forward to driving all of those. Zach and Andrew sending my love from Jersey City. My question is, do you know anything about the upcoming Honda Prelude? It looked great in concept form. And furthermore, do you think Honda will be expanding its lineup of hybrid powertrains beyond the new one found in the Civic, Accord, and CR-V?
If I was a betting man, Andrea, I would say yes.
Yeah.
What was the car we were driving last week? And I said,
the Honda Pilot.
Yeah, I said the Honda Pilot, and I said to Andrew was talking about a quote from the president of Honda Canada, and I said, well, just go down to the Toyota store and see how many hybrids they have and how successful they are. People are complaining of long wait times to get hybrids, but they're making more cars. So that just shows you that the demand totally outstrips supply.
Yeah, for sure. I think that they will come out with more hybrids. There is a rumor that there is a Pilot coming, so it's just a matter of time. We'll see. The president did say, he was at a function in Toronto, and he was basically saying, like, we've got to arm our salespeople with more information to combat myths about electric vehicles because they are difficult to sell and they take a little bit more work. I guess people who are coming in are throwing things at them. Interestingly enough,
throwing things at the EVs? What? They go in and throw stuff at the car?
They do. They throw things. No, of course not. They're just throwing
like
questions.
Falsehoods. It's interesting.
And they have to be able to answer them.
We were picking up a Volkswagen at the local dealer here at the Taos at Vancouver Volkswagen. And they're the number one, check this out, in Vancouver. Volkswagen of Vancouver is the number one ID4 dealership in all of North America, Canada, US combined. They have the number one sales for electric cars, and they have a lot of training, and they answer a lot of questions, and they demystify EVs for a lot of people. And I think that's why they've been so successful, is that they help people decide.
So Zach dropped me off at the dealership, and I was waiting for the keys for the Taos. And while I was standing there, there was an ID4 on the floor, and they had posts all over the vehicle about different myths and how they can combat these questions. And they were like running through this with their salespeople. So while I was waiting for the key, because there was a lot going on there, I found out later on that day, one of the reasons why it was so busy is because in British Columbia, the electric vehicle rebate that is offered has now changed, and that SUVs have fallen into the car category, and you have to be priced under $50,000 Canadian to qualify for the rebate.
So that means
it was like, what?
Yeah. So now all of these vehicles would qualify, and then the very next day, a whole bunch of them don't qualify, and actually very few do qualify. So they obviously were training their sales staff on what they can do to
how to deal with this.
To deal with this.
Interestingly enough, guess what Elon Musk did just like that
hours
online.
later, like 4 hours later. What did he do, Andrea?
His Model 3, he dropped it to $49,990 Canadian.
Just
so
under
it qualifies.
50. Sneaky, huh?
Wow.
Which, back to my point about EV rebates, get out of the rebate game and let the car companies compete for your dollar. If they have great cars and they all say they've got the best EV you can buy, it's fantastic. You never have to put gas in it. Well, come out with the best EV and and compete for price. Don't hide behind rebates. If Elon Musk can drop the price like that within like 4 hours, the other manufacturers should do that too.
You know, we did
Let me say one thing. The issue with him dropping the price is this is the same price right across the country. So he's losing money on all of those other places that don't have this rebate. But this market here is so big that it's very important.
But so many Teslas are made in China that are sent to Canada. The ones in the U.S. are made in the U.S. But I also wanted to say we did a walk around of the Volvo EX30, which is going to be made in China. And I was a little bit irritated with Volvo because in the U.S. they priced this model at $35,000 U.S. You know, they could have dropped the price on that EX30 easily, but they knew it would qualify for the rebate. So they priced it a little bit higher.
They
and
jacked
that
it up.
irritated
That's
me.
all out the window since we had a look at that car, Andrea, because what did they do in the United States of America? They jacked the tariff on Chinese made and produced batteries and EVs. So I think that's like a no sale in the US. If you have to, I think it's kind of 200% tariff or something, it's going to be. And then Canada, there's a lot of pressure on our federal government to follow suit. So maybe these cheaper Teslas might not be coming in from China any longer.
No, might all be made in the U.S. or they could open up a plant in Mexico. Will you ever show your sons in one of your car reviews like you did in the 2017 RAV4 road trip? And is it ideal to buy a plug-in hybrid when you don't have a charger at home and only rely on public charging because it also uses gas?
I'm going to work backwards on this one. Okay, number one rule for anything that has the name plug in it, plug-in hybrid, or electric vehicle that has a plug, and if you don't have a plug, you buy a hybrid, just a regular hybrid. If you don't have a plug, don't buy a plug-in.
Is there any way that you could just use a level 1? I'm surprised. You must have access to a level 1.
If you're in an apartment building and there's no level 1 plug anywhere, no plug in the garage.
If there is no plug, do not buy one.
Or if you live and you park on the street like we do and you can't run a cable across the sidewalk, then just get a hybrid.
And I just want to tell you, when we get a plug-in hybrid or we get an EV, and when we don't have access to a charger and we have to go out at night and charge, it is no fun. Please, if you want to buy a vehicle that you need to plug in, make sure you can plug it in.
Okay, what about the boys, Andrea?
The boys don't want to be on camera. They're not interested in being on camera. They're very, very private, and we need to respect that. Just because we're out there, it doesn't mean that they need to be out there either.
I wish that one of them was interested in cars at all.
I know.
But they're not.
They're not interested in cars. They're interested in sports and other things. And they asked us, why can't you guys have a sports channel? Because we do cars. That's why. We're like, guys, you could get on and you could do reviews. And anyway, they're just not interested.
The thing is that, you know, this is a business and we make a living doing this, and it would be great for one of them to take it over.
Yeah.
So I look at the fast lane truck and car, and you see Roman, and then Tommy's come on, and that's a great legacy. He's going to pass that on to his son, and he's going to run that channel when Roman wants to put his feet up. I don't think he's ever putting his feet up because the guy works like a dog.
He's not that kind of guy.
He's not that kind of guy.
No.
But the thing is, I wish our boys were interested.
Maybe they will one day. I don't know.
So we're looking to adopt a 20-something camera-ready, video-capable editor.
And one of the reasons why they were in that video on the road trip, and they have been in others, they were small and they just didn't have a say.
They didn't have a say. We're going on a road trip.
They didn't know what they were getting into.
We're going on a road trip and you're going to be in the video.
Yeah,
and then they wasn't actually that long after that they started complaining.
Yeah, they just don't like it. They're very, very private boys, and we need to respect that. Great videos as always. Love your shows. Thank you. I am wondering if any updates about the 2026 Outback 2025 model. Doesn't seem to change anything, but prices. Yeah. And Subaru overall hybrid or electrification plan. Thanks. Well, we were recently on the Subaru Forester event, and we asked them about Outback.
It went like this. Andrea, up to the product planner guy. Just one question. No, I screwed it up, Andrea.
Yeah.
He said right up to Brad there, the product planning guy, and said, "Oh, it wasn't."
No, it was Sebastian.
Evan. It was Evan.
Oh, it was Evan. Sebastian was there too.
Okay, I'm gonna take 3. Here we go. So Andrea goes up. Goes
To
up to
Evan.
Evan, and Evan's like 6'5".
Yeah.
Hey, Evan, quick question. And how did that go?
Evan said we don't talk about future
He is
plans.
like
He's
a
the
vault.
best, though. He's so good. He's so knowledgeable.
Oh, now Brad's going to hear that.
Oh, Brad is too.
Brad is
too.
But Evan from
But Brad wasn't at this event.
Yeah, because he doesn't have that car, the Forester.
No.
But the thing is, like, Evan from Subaru is the human equivalent of Fort Knox.
Yeah.
You get nothing out of this guy.
Nothing from Evan.
No.
Here's something interesting. So they went through the product presentation, and at the very end, they said Forester Hybrid will be coming for 2026 model year. And then they put
snuck it in.
underneath, Crosstrek is getting a hybrid. And then I put up my hand and I just said, just a quick question.
Quick question.
Our viewers are going to want to know about Outback. Are you going to have an Outback hybrid? And they started laughing at me.
No, they were just saying.
No, it's a joke, like smiling.
We don't talk about future products. You
That's
get
what
nothing
they
out of that
said,
guy. I've been
because-
working on Evan for years to get a juicy morsel about what's coming, and he just goes like this.
So guys, you're just going to have to wait because we don't know. We asked Nissan when we were there about electrification plans. They basically said with Nissan, nothing until 2026. And even then, I'm leery of that one.
I'm not holding my breath on Nissan until
But
2027.
Subaru is moving forward. They're going to use Toyota's hybrid system, but they're going to have their own Boxer engine. And so we got some information, but nothing on Outback. Would you ever buy an EV from an upstart company like Rivian, Polestar? I worry these newer companies will leave their owners holding the bag if they go out of business, whereas Toyota, Ford, GM, etc. have huge networks of dealers and replacement parts and are not going anywhere soon. Any thoughts on that?
I feel really, really bad for the people that put their money down and they're driving their the Fisker Ocean, and now Fisker is filed for bankruptcy protection. Doesn't mean the company's out of business, and they're still operating their software. They're supporting that under bankruptcy protection. Basically, just means you get a break from having to pay your bills. You restructure the company and hopefully come out the other side stronger. And we saw that in 08, 09 with General Motors. The big three. But yeah, that's a risk, it's a risk.
And also, what's the resale value on that model?
Oh, I can tell you right now, Andrea.
That is a big concern.
It's nothing.
Yes. Polestar, I wouldn't worry so much. As much.
I just read an article, Automotive News, talking about Polestar because Geely, the parent company, is not giving them any more money. It's not that they're not giving them any more money, but there's basically trouble because they've given them so much money and they're not seeing return. Plus, you look at the fact that the United States has put massive tariffs on Chinese-made EVs. That includes Polestar. The European Union is I think it's 38% tariff they put on Chinese EVs. And then I bet you Canada will follow suit on that. So these Polestars that they're selling now, they're going to be much harder to sell.
Well, they're going to be harder to sell. You just won't be able to buy one in Canada if they're made in China. So one of our friends...
Not right now, but
to come maybe.
They're going to follow the American...
Definitely the Canadian government is getting pressure from the U.S. government to do what they're doing. So you could start building in Mexico, right?
That's how they're going to get around it.
Yeah.
They're going to build in Mexico. But
the battery can't be from China. So BYD is opening up a plant in Mexico, but they can't bring their battery in from China. The U.S. will still not allow that. So even BYD is going to have a problem. Just because you're going to build the vehicle in Mexico, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sell it in the U.S.
There's going to have to be a locked arm approach with Canada, the U.S., and Mexico around this because we pretty much have harmonization of standards for Canada, U.S. for car production because cars are made on both sides of the border and go back and forth all the time. There's major production facilities in Canada. They're going to have to do that. And then, we're going to have an election here in the next 14, 15 months. I would suspect that if we get a new government, they're going to go lockstep with what the U.S. does.
Well, and I also think it's frustrating to these brands like Toyota, Honda, GM, that they're able to produce their vehicles, battery and all, in China. They're able to price it less than some of these others. It's just not fair. This is going to change 100%. Thank you for the best car channel on YouTube.
Wait a second.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm not going to disagree with that, Andrea.
I know.
You know why it's the best car channel on YouTube? Because of Andrea.
I doubt that. No, I doubt that.
It's because
but
of
anyway,
Andrea.
we're glad that you think it's the
You weren't
best
expecting
car
that, were
channel.
you?
I was not. I
No.
was like, what's going on here? What's going on here? This is what Zach's learning. I put down my phone. This is what he says. Oh, stop.
Oh, yes. Stop.
Stop
Please.
with the compliments.
Okay, Andrea. Okay, you ready? We'll do it right now. You ready?
Yeah.
It's all because of...
Oh, stop.
It's a good line. You
It
know
is
who
a good
taught me that
line.
one? Apparently, I said this in other questions, Coffee Cars.
Oh.
Mike Reno, the lead singer of Loverboy, everybody's working for the weekend. It's a local band here from Vancouver.
Like
and I used to
Loverboy.
work at the radio station, and Mike was doing mornings. And he was a great guy to run into in the hallway. He goes, "Hey, Zach, how you doing?" He's a real affable, outgoing, fun guy.
And what did you say? I love you, Mike.
No, I wouldn't do that. But he did one of these. He did one of these to me. And so I always thought it was his thing. And then I found out it was a Johnny Carson thing from The Tonight Show. And he was my favorite. Okay, what was the question again?
We didn't say the question
Oh,
because
okay.
we were going on
About how great we are.
compliments. Have you ever driven the Honda S2000 and what do you think of it? Zach can answer too, of course, but I doubt he can comfortably sit in one. He said this question is for Andrea, but you can chime in. So I saw one on the road the other day. I think it looks great. I think
great.
it looks hot, but I've never driven one.
I drove one back in the day when they were brand new. 3 things stand out for me, Andrea. The first one is that I remember I was doing morning TV at BC TV or Global here in Vancouver, and I drove the car out there in the morning.
Yeah.
And then the woman that was in the production department, she comes to work because we finished the morning show at 9. She's coming in, and I've got the roof down. It was black.
Yeah.
And she was drooling. Like, she was like, that is the most beautiful car I've ever seen. So that's one thing I remember. Second thing, I remember when you would drive in it, it had this little thing that would fold down. I think it was a cover for the radio or something.
Oh.
And there was a sharp edge and it dug right into my knee. So these are the things you remember. So that was an issue. But the third issue for me, Andrea, is the fact that it was a very peaky, high-revving 4-cylinder. Lots of power, but all of the power, like a lot of those Honda engines back in the day, was like 4,000 RPM and above. And it did it happily all day. I mean, a beautiful engine. But the thing is, for everyday driving, a Miata is a better, because it's got more low-end grunt. So
I was just going to say, it's no Mazda MX-5. That's for sure.
Looks fantastic, handling fantastic. Zach fit in it. The woman at work thought it was the best looking car she'd ever seen. Dug into my knee, but I always miss the bottom end torque. And I always, whenever I see people going crazy for them online, I'm always like,
it looks good.
but you haven't driven it. And if
Yeah.
you drive it, it's got no grunt.
I've got to say, since we've got our long-term test drive Mazda MX-5, I can't believe how many we've sold. We have people in the US and Canada going to dealerships and buying one, and also used ones.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
they're super excited about it. There was a couple, older couple that said, Andrew, we just bought a used one. I'm like, way to go.
It is the best convertible bargain on the road. And the great thing is they've been making them continuously since 1989.
Yeah.
So depending on your budget, you can find one for $6,000 to as much as you want to spend, but always have it inspected. The thing is, they're ultra reliable.
Yeah.
And
It's so fun.
I'm sure a lot of people don't drive them in the winter; they park them. So rust shouldn't be that big an issue. But yeah, getting an older one is great.
Great. Oh, I was out in it yesterday, and then it started to rain. I had to put the top back up.
How did that go? You just went like this.
I did.
2
So
seconds.
easy. I'm torn between the Hyundai Santa Fe and the Honda Pilot 2024, but I did not like the Pilot from the inside in terms of specifications for the price. What do you think? Well, Honda pricing is wackadoodle, really. I mean, they just keep increasing the price. That base model starts at just under $55,000 Canadian, but it's a big 3-row SUV. And almost every trim comes with a bench seat. And the top 3 trims you're able to remove that middle seat in the second row, which is a real bonus.
I think
Santa Fe isn't as big.
Yeah, Santa Fe isn't as big. Pilot has a V6, 3.5 liter, 10-speed automatic transmission. Santa Fe is, if you're getting a gas model, it's a 2.5 turbo. There's complexity there. And it's got a wet dual clutch. Sounds exotic, doesn't it? Mixed results in the way it drives.
Yeah.
Not as big. And I think what you're talking about in terms of price is the fact that the Honda only comes like with a 7-inch radio. It doesn't even have a full digital instrument cluster. But I have to say, though, Andrea, take those two things out of the equation. The size of the screen is just a vanity thing. You can totally get by with it. It's comfortable, it's well made, it's very big, and it's got a naturally aspirated V6. And I think it comes down to they know what they've got and they're charging for it.
And the base model does have that 7-inch touchscreen, but there is an available 9-inch. But yes, it sits on top of the dash, and
I think
maybe it isn't as pretty as what you would see in the Santa Fe.
I think what they're doing is they're comparing, kind of base models and what you get on either one, and it's not even close.
It's not close because Hyundai has come in with the Santa Fe at a low price point. Even that hybrid is priced so well.
I'm going to throw one at you as an alternative, not the Santa Fe. We'll take the Santa Fe out of the equation. As an alternative for one that's actually bigger, it's got great torque and horsepower. It's really nicely equipped on the inside. Price is very competitive, and it's one of the vehicles that's really, I'm kind of smitten with it.
I know what he's going to say.
And what is it, Andrea?
The Telluride.
No.
Oh. The Atlas.
No.
The Grand Highlander.
What? The Chevrolet Traverse.
Oh, the Chevrolet Traverse.
I thought you knew I was going there.
No,
Chevrolet
because you like all of those.
I like all of them.
And he always goes off on the Telluride. Telluride.
Telluride is old news, Andrea. It needs an update. I'm telling you that Chevrolet Traverse really surprised me.
I think that the Honda Pilot's going to have better resale value in the end because it's a V6. That's my feeling. That's my feeling on it.
Try the Traverse.
V6s are on their way out. I like the Traverse too. I mean, anybody who watched our review, Zach and I were really impressed with the Traverse for sure.
All right.
But if you're worried about resale value and you're worried about reliability, because the Traverse is new, right? We talk about that first year. Maybe you want to wait a year, let it,
let it simmer.
get through the market.
Put it on the back burner and let it simmer.
Quirks that it might have. But
all right.
the pilot, trusty.
All right. Now I'm going to say it. We're all out of time. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram. Zach and I holding coffees. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show. Keep an eye out for that post for the 100th episode coming to you from Newfoundland.
See you soon.